Sunday was a fun day. Now it's Victory Monday, and we got to talk about, is it Overreaction Monday? Talking about a lot in today's video. Let's get this thing started right now. Today's video is very self-explanatory. Just like the thumbnail says, it's Overreaction Monday. We're going to get into, should Dan Campbell stay as Lions offensive play caller? John Morton, should he become play caller again? Should they keep him demoted? Should they fire him? Should the Lions look for other individuals for the Lions' offensive call duties going forward? So that's what we're going to discuss in today's video. So we'll get into it right now. So should the Detroit Lions keep Dan Campbell as the play caller? Give me your thoughts in the comments. So as you know, the Lions kicked butt yesterday on offense. Dan Campbell took over play calling. This is what he said after the game. He says, let's try for something a little bit different. Campbell said, look, I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do. Now, that being said, this is a collaborative effort now that I was taking input from John Morton the whole time and the other coaches, but I just wanted to change things up a little bit. Let's just see if maybe a different play caller can maybe give us a little bit of rhythm. That's all. In all honesty, it's nothing more than that. Now, I told you that there was issues with the offensive play calling. I said two things can be one. The Lions' offensive line could be issues, as well as the play calling was significant issues. If you watch the game, you would see it. Dan Campbell reverts takeover play calling for the Lions yesterday, and the Lions kick booty. They crush it. All right, the offense looks like the offense of old. 0 punts. And if you actually watched the game yesterday, I was impressed. It looked like the old Ben Johnson offense, right? Because I didn't know what the play was going to be. That is something that we need to have, right? You don't want it to be where the defense knows. Matter of fact, Jahmyr Gibbs spit it out in the post game accidentally. Teams knew what they're doing. When you do that, of course, they're going to load the box up, stop the play, and everything. Question for you before we get into the stats and everything. The Lions offense, is it back to the old Detroit Lions offense that we have seen in years past? Y for yes and for no. Give me your thoughts right now. And here is the stats for this game. Great stats. 546 total yards. Crushing it right there. That's what we lost. 30 first downs. 30. Love to see it. Only 3 penalties, but 1 was accepted. That's all 3. So much better. And remember, it was on the road. Third downs, 5 for 10. 50% is way better than a 12%. I'll take it all day. Fourth downs, 2 for 2, perfect. Red zone, nearly perfect, 4 for 6. Touchdowns there. Time of possession, the Lions dominated more. And remember, they had some fast possessions as well, but they had 32 minutes and 36 seconds. But the most important stat of them all, 0 punts. This was the most efficient offensive performance that we've seen this year with 44 points. Jared Goff crushed it. 25 for 33, 320 yards, 9.7 average, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a QBR rating of 135.9, his best of the year. That is great, right? That's what you want to see. That's the Jared Goff of old, and if you watch the game, he commanded it. He commanded it, right? Gibbs, 15 for 142, 9.5 average, 2 touchdowns, 43 long. You got to give Jahmyr Gibbs more than 4 touches, 15 here. Montgomery, 7 touches. This is what we like to see. Elite, give the players the ball. Jamison Williams, 6 for 7, 119 yards, 19.8 average, 1 touchdown, 42 long, 7 targets. The offense was on fire. The offense was killing it. And I do think that two things can be correct here. Two things can be right. That, yes, the opponent stinked. That is correct. But so was the offensive play calling was really good. I know you say, oh, it's just the bad team. It was a bad team. That is a factual thing, and I totally agree. And they're a dumpster fire right now. But if you watch the play calls, it was completely disruptive from what we've seen so far this year. It was calls I didn't know. We were doing some rollouts. We were doing quick slants, a quick pass to Jamison Williams multiple times, getting him the ball. Yak, same with Khalif Raymond with the jet sweep, end around. You had Jahmyr Gibbs all over the field. The touchdown that we see was very reminiscent of the touchdown of last year. You know, quick slant again to Jahmyr Gibbs for the touchdown. That's the type of stuff we're used to seeing that can be implemented that helps out the offensive line and the offensive line perform better, even with Kayode Osika at left guard and injuries in the game. Penei Sewell went down. Dan Skipper came in. The efficiency was there. You notice that there was no false starts, inefficient. Linemen didn't know where they were to go. You didn't have multiple players crossing each other at the same time. That's efficiency. That had nothing to do with the defense right there. And we were on the road as well. So should Dan Campbell stay the Lions play caller? Just knowing this. Why for yes and for no? So you can separate the opponent was better last week compared to the opponent this week, but you can also just look at the play calls themselves. Just look at them. We only had 2 screens. They were back-to-back, and they both failed. Other than that, they got away from it, went back to the Lions of old. You had a lot of passes in the middle of the field, play action, and it worked every single time. You had Jared Goff, bam. First down to Laporta, play action. A lot of Jamison Williams in there. Remember, Jared Goff's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at play action. So that is stuff that the plays itself, right, is helping out the players. And if you notice on the sideline, you had Jared Goff talking to Dan Campbell back and forth throughout the game. Going back and forth, hands-on with him. That's important. Sometimes you see things, sometimes you get information, you have a feel for it when you're right there with them. And Dan Campbell has a great feel for Jared Goff, right? They have Ben Johnson had one, but John Morton doesn't, guys. He doesn't. Now, that brings me to my next question. Should Dan Campbell then be the OC throughout the season? Yeah, that's a lot of tasks. John Morton's not going to be calling plays anymore, so just go ahead and throw that away. But remember, we look at back in year 1, he did the same thing, but then he brought in Ben Johnson to help out as well, and then Ben Johnson OC the following year. So could the Lions do the same thing this year? Here are the Lions offensive coaches as we speak. I removed, obviously, John Morton off here, right? Okay, so he's not on here. But here's some coaches they could look at. There's a couple guys, first off, that I feel like the Lions they could go to just right off rip, right? Mark Brunell, he is one of those guys. He can come in here right away and help this team out, right? He knows Jared Goff. He's been working with Jared Goff. He's been consistent with Jared Goff. That makes sense. He could be an option. Very in tune with what's in the head of Goff. But if they don't want to do that, there's other options they can do here. And David Shaw, the passing games coordinator, If you noticed, he was you seen him a lot on the sideline yesterday. And I seen him a lot in the post-game celebration. Very close to Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. So watch for David Shaw potentially to get a role that could move up a little bit more. Absolute possibility. Younger guys as well, right? Assistants, tight ends coach. They could go like a Seth Ryan there. Or Tyler Roll. I don't think Tashard Choice or Hank Fraley would be that. Maybe. Look, I love Hank Fraley. He's a great offensive line coach. And hell, like, we love this guy. He actually interviewed for the offensive coordinator job for the Seattle Seahawks. So that is an option there. I mean, there's plenty of options for Detroit to go. I'm not concerned. And I don't think that you should be concerned too much anymore as well. Because Dan Campbell's got this. And he'll call plays. If he needs to help somebody out to help him out, he'll have somebody help him out. If he needs to, he will. There's options here. They got a lot of quality coaches to choose from. And I am not concerned at all for how this offense is going. Matter of fact, I am so happy to see the play calling changed. Yeah, we got to understand, well, he's the one that hired him. Well, it didn't work out. He made a move. It is what it is. The Lions are now on the right track. He'll figure it out. This is Dan Campbell's team, Dan Campbell's offense. Other head coaches do it too. They call plays. So I'm not concerned. I'm happy about this offense. Give me your thoughts, though, in the comments below. With this said, folks, adios.